Ahoy! How are you all doing today? Um, Stuff's really heating up in the Bumface book that we're reading. This one here. I do it every time. Forget to move my fingers. I'm Toshaan. I've done part 1 and 2, which you would have seen. I would hope so. If you haven't, then none of this will make sense to you. So I strongly encourage you go back and you listen to me stumble through part 1 and 2 and try to make as much sense of it as possible. And then we'll get into it. This now. So, yes, today we are doing part 3 on our Wondrous Wednesday. If you haven't, I don't know where I was going to go with that. Couldn't have been that important because I've forgotten. But yes, sit back, relax, and hopefully be mildly entertained by part 3 of Bumface by Morris Gleltzman. Wonderful stuff. Okay, let's get into it. During the first commercial break, Leo disappeared. Leo, called Angus. You'll miss Mum. I'm on the toilet, came Leo's faint cry. The commercial break ended, and Mum appeared on the screen with her spotless TV living room, hugging 2 of her spotless TV children. Don't know why they call this series a soapy, thought Angus. I'm guessing that means soap. Maybe in Australia. For anyone that knows about what they call the soap in Australia, I'd love to know. But in here it says soapy. So I'm guessing that means soap. So here we go. Okay. Thought that's why they called this series a soapy, thought Angus. They're all too clean and need. They're all too clean to need soap. On the screen, Mum was giving her TV twins a famous, warm and caring TV smile. Angus felt the usual pang of jealousy and reminded himself that she was only acting. Imogen giggled excitedly in her high chair and pointed at the TV. Mama, she yelled, happily, spraying a mouthful of chocolate milk all over the table. Immy, said Angus quietly. Do you think that just tonight we could try to be as clean and tidy as Mummy's TV family? Mama, yelled Imogen again, and threw a handful of mashed potato and pumpkin across the room. Vile. Obviously not, thought Angus wearily. I'm missing Mum, said Leo. Said Leo's distant yell. Well, Hurry up, called Angus. I can't, yelled Leo. I'm stuck. Angus ran to the bathroom. Leo wasn't in there. He sprinted down to Mum's ensuite and heard Leo yelling from the guest toilet. He doubled back, desperately hoping Leo hadn't fallen into the dunny whilst he was flushing it. I read that as dummy and then realised in dunny means toilet. So we're all learning. For those of you who didn't know, a dunny in Australia is a toilet. That I know. The door of the guest toilet wouldn't open. The lock's stuck, yelled Leo. Are you all right? Shouted Angus frantically. Leo always forgot to close. What? Always forgot to close his mouth underwater. In a sewer pipe, he'd be history. No, I'm not all right, yelled Leo. I can't see Mum. What's she doing? Angus peered down the hall. On the TV in the living room, Mum was still talking to the twins with her famous, warm, caring TV voice. Angus heard Imogen gurgle, Mama, and saw chocolate milk splatter over the screen. What's Mum doing? Yelled Leo. Angus strained to hear. She's telling, now I'm reading this as Lachlan. It's spelled Lachlan. I could be getting that wrong. So if anyone wants to correct me, you are more than welcome to. So I may be saying this wrong. I'm reading it as Lachlan. Lachlan? Maybe it's Lach. No. Lach. Maybe it is Lachlan. Okay, it's Lachlan now. I'm calling. Yeah. Get at me. I don't know. And Lachlan and Courtney to stop worrying. Angus shouted through the door. She's going to meet them after school and go to the newsagents with them. And if Mr. Green overcharges them for lollies again, he'll be sorry. What? Yelled Leo. Open the door, yelled Angus. Try harder. Spit on the key. What's Mum doing now? Yelled Leo. From the living room, Angus heard the splat of something hitting the floor. Never mind about Mum, he yelled frantically. Amy's in there on her own with mashed pumpkins and chocolate milk and stewed fruit. Angus heard Leo spitting on the key. It's not working, wailed Leo. The lock needs more lubrication, thought Angus desperately. If Mum was home, she'd drain some oil out of her car but she'd been taping at the studio for at least another hour. What if the TV people kept her really late for retakes, and by the time she got home, Leo had starved to death? He'd hardly touched his fish fingers. Leo tried to bash the door with his shoulder. The door didn't budge. His shoulder hurt a lot. Then Angus noticed a lump of mashed potato and pumpkin on the front of his school shirt and scraped it off and stuffed it into the keyhole. That is jank. Bleh. Try now, he shouted. The key turned in the lock. Angus pushed the door open and grabbed Leo to inspect him anxiously for signs of drowning or hysteria. He couldn't see any. Oh, I've lost my place. Are you all right? He asked, relieved. No, said Leo tearfully. Mum's on and I'm missing her. Leo ran back into the living room. Angus followed, wondering how old kids have to be before they thanked you for using up all the butter in the mashed potato and pumpkin. Imogen was dripping with chocolate milk and smeared with mashed veggies, and gazing happily at the food splattered screen where Mum was having dinner with her spotless TV kitchen and her spotless TV family. Angus looked around at the real-life living room and nearly fainted. The damp patches on the carpet suddenly didn't look so bad. Not compared to the tomato sauce running down the wall and the stewed fruit splattered on Mum's awards and the chocolate milk dripping off the inside ferns and the dollop of potato and pumpkin on the Prime Minister's head. If the Prime Minister was here and saw this, thought Angus gloomily, I'm going to try to slow down because I feel like I'm reading at a mile a minute and I'm even losing touch with what I'm reading and where I'm going. He'd never have this. It's the Prime Minister. Photo taken with his mum at a charity lunch ever again. Let me read that line again. If the Prime Minister was here and saw this, thought Angus gloomily, he would never have his photo taken again at a charity lunch with my mum. Angus sat down and closed his eyes and wondered how he was going to clean it all up before his mum got home. Plus do the dishes. Make Leo and Imogen's lunch for tomorrow. Disinfect the stroller and do his human reproduction homework. He felt panic starting to bubble up inside him. He remembered what the lifestyle show doctor Mum had gone out with last year. I've lost my place again. So sorry. Give me a second. He remembered what the lifestyle show Dr. Mum had gone out with last year had reckoned you should do about panic. Imagine you're in a beautiful place. The doctor had done several segments on panic, possibly because he'd been going out with Mum. Oh, I see. So this is a TV doctor that was dating his mum. Okay, so I'm back in the room. Angus tried to imagine that he was floating in a pirate submarine through the Great Barrier Reef. He tried to see the dazzling coral and exotic fish through the gun sight. It was no good. He couldn't concentrate. Not with that horrible noise Leo was making. Angus opened his eyes. Leo was spitting out a mouthful of chewed fish fingers. Leo, said Angus. I cut off most of the burnt bits. On the screen, Mum's beaming TV husband, Max, was handing her a spotless TV plate. A slice of pizza for Australia's best mum, he said. In return, she gave him one of her famous TV kisses. Angus winced. Watching her do that always made him feel funny in his tummy. Though tonight it was probably worse by stress and soggy burnt fish fingers. Not fair, wailed Leo. Craig and Nolene and Lachin and Courtney are having pizza. Why can't we have pizza? Angus took a deep breath. We've been through all of this, he said. They're Mum's TV family. They're not real. We're her real family. We're the lucky ones. Amy, don't put your dinner in your nappy. We're not as lucky as them, said Leo, reaching to the tomato sauce and knocking his orange cordial over. Mum spends heaps of time with them. They're luckier. She has to spend more time with them, said Angus. It's her job. It was funny to me. But it's her job. It's how she earns the money we need to live on. Oh, sorry. The glass is back. Yeah? In showbiz, we call that continuity. I need to live on. She's our mum, said Leo tearfully. She should spend more time with us. Angus grabbed a kitchen sponge and started mopping up. He felt a chill running down his spine. It wasn't just the cordial soaking into his shirt. It was because Leo was right. Angus wiped the feeling away. Little kids, they're too young to understand. Angus was still wiping pumpkin off the Prime Minister when Mum's show ended. Please, begged Angus quietly as Mum disappeared from the screen. Don't go. She went. Imogen gave a howl of rage and threw a handful of stewed plums and pears at Mum's CD player. Angus managed to catch most of it. Leo sulked. As usual, Angus cheered them up both by giving them a relaxing bath and making funny Bumface voices, come out of Leo's plastic submarine. This kept them distracted whilst he washed the potato and pumpkin out of Imogen's belly button and the spider webs out of Leo's hair. Angus noticed that Leo's right earlobe looked a bit pink and swollen. He wrapped both of the kids in towels, then hurried back into the room to check his books. None of them had anything about swollen earlobes or spider bites. Angus couldn't believe it. How can people write parenting books, he thought bitterly, and leave out the most important stuff? Angus went back into the bathroom, made Imogen spit out the soap, explained to Leo that toothpaste was not for painting expensive bottles of perfume with, then examined Leo's earlobe again and decided it was just a phase he was going through. When the kids' teeth were brushed, Angus took them to say goodnight to Leo's mouse, Jeffrey. Leo looked into the cage and frowned. Jeffrey was looking very fat these days. What have you been feeding him? Asked Angus. Ants, said Leo. Angus peered at Jeffrey's swollen tummy. He must have eaten most of the ants in the district. Angus tucked the kids into bed and told them a Bumface story. It was one where Bumface kidnapped a whole bunch of parents and took them to a secret pirate submarine based on a remote island and kept them there until they promised to spend more time with their families. Even though it was one of Imogen and Leo's favorite, they still had sad faces at the end. I want my dad, said Leo. Angus sighed. Your dad's busy, Leo, he said gently. He works nights, remember? My dad? Said Imogen. Your dad's busy too, said Angus. Your dad's not busy, Leo said to Angus, because he's unemployed. Angus caught sight of his own weary face in Leo's mirror. A person can still be busy, he said, even if they're not being paid. When can they? Said Leo. Angus thought about the sauce-splattered wall waiting for him, and the lunch boxes, and the stroller, and the homework. He decided not to depress the little kids. When they're a pirate, he yelled, and tickled them both. They screamed with laughter. Angus laughed too. And as he looked at their joyful faces, he found himself wishing that a pirate would swing in through the bedroom window on a pirate rope and carry them all the way to a secret pirate submarine based where they can all be like this one day, thought Angus. It might happen. Thus concluding part 3. This is it's getting a bit interesting. Yes, I will be continuing this next Wednesday. So I hope you're all following along. I apologize if I lost you in places. I lost myself, but I think we got there in the end. And Yes, I will. I will see you all next Wednesday. I look forward to continuing this. This was very cool, and yeah, see you later. I always do this, and then I just